Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am going to be talking about this ant illustration that I made for a contest slash giveaway by Kasey Golden on YouTube here. And if you haven't checked out her channel, you should go do that now. If you like watercolor illustration, she does a lot of really cute illustrations, mostly with watercolor. Sometimes she experiments with other things. She did a lot of really good ink illustrations during Inktober. She's done tea and coffee and other experiments as well. And she also does a few sewing tutorials. Like this month she has a few ornament sewing tutorials up. So go check out her channel if you haven't already. That's Kasey Golden. And her giveaway was for some art supplies, and you had to make an illustration to enter the giveaway. So it's not like a contest of skill or imagination or anything like that. It's just make an illustration. You had to include 10 ants in the illustration to enter her giveaway. She has like this running theme of ants in a lot of her illustrations, so I think she calls herself the Ant Queen. And then I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Prismacolor Premier brush markers. I hadn't used them much before this illustration. I bought them during Black Friday sales on digblick.com, and I'm not sponsored. I just love digblick.com. They have a lot of art supplies, and usually the sale prices are really good on there. I got the 48 set of the Prismacolor Premier brush markers for around 72 US dollars during Black Friday, and I believe they're normally around $320, so that was a really awesome sale, and I jumped on that. The Prismacolor Premier markers come in two different kinds. This kind has the brush tip and the bullet tip. I know they also have the chisel tip and bullet tip variety as well, which is a little bit cheaper, but I love brush tips and alcohol markers, which a lot of other artists do as well. But I was actually really digging their bullet nib in this illustration because there's a lot of small spaces and the bullet tip was really good at getting in there. And if you like coloring books, I guess these would be really good for that, for getting in really small spaces as well. The brush, excuse me, the brush tip is a little bit more squishy and like softer than Copic marker brush tips. And the ink tends to feather out a little bit more than Copic marker ink, but it's pretty easy to get used to once you work with them for a while. And it might have been this paper as well that caused more of the feathering. It is, I used the Canson mixed media sketchbook, and I know that if you use alcohol-based markers, and I think regular markers as well on mixed media paper, it tends to suck up the ink faster. So it's not really good for the marker per se, but it does look really good. So I don't really mind using mixed media paper with my markers. Usually Copics because I have refills. Well, you can get refills for Copic markers, but I also wanted to try out the Prismacolor Premier markers. Yay! There were no grays in the 48 set of the Prismacolor Premier markers, but I was okay with that. Just because I have a lot of grays in my Copic set already. But I really liked they had a lot of earth tones in the 48 set, which I enjoyed for this illustration. A lot of different browns and reds and oranges. So that worked well for this illustration. Also, the caps fit on the ends. That is so amazing. Like no other alcohol markers, barely any, I can't even think of any off the top of my head, allow you to put the cap on the bottom, can't tell you how annoying it is to not be able to do that. Like, you just sit around and your caps can fall off your desk and get lost. So very much kudos to Prismacolor Premier Markers for allowing you to stick the cap on the end of the marker. They are a little bit harder to get off than Copic markers, the caps from the ends. But it's just something that you get used to pretty quickly. I've seen other reviews where people are like really struggling, and I'm just like, it's not that hard. Maybe some markers are manufactured differently, or I don't know. But that's pretty much my first impressions that I wrote down about Prismacolor Premier Markers. I can do a more formal review if people are interested about Prismacolor Premier brush markers. Oh, big stretch. And I thought I had more to say that would last more than 7 minutes, but I guess not. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this illustration and wish me luck in the giveaway. Boo!